I'm Frank, and I'm all about helping business owners and entrepreneurs start and grow their lawn care business. Make sure to subscribe, like, and hit the bell button so you're notified of my future videos. Hey, welcome back, Lawn Care Pros. Today I have with me Jason Creel with Alabama Lawn Pros, and he's also well known as Lawn Care Life Online. Welcome back, Jason.
Looking forward to the conversation.
Let's talk about, some of the things that you're experiencing now when it comes to being in the chemical side of the business. We talked about, some of the challenges in the mowing side of the business. Now let's talk about some of the challenges when it comes to the fertilization weed control side of the business.
Well, I think the challenges for that, if somebody was going to start that, is you have to have a lot of customers. So if you don't feel confident being able to market your business, it's probably not for you. Where if you're going to, let's say you're going to start a mowing business and you go out there and you get 50 customers, well, that pretty much keep you busy. You might not get rich off of that, but you can make a living. 50 customers for weed control is kind of laughable, to be honest with you. And I wouldn't do it if you're only planning to get 50 customers. To me, it's not worth it. There's continuing education classes, and there's just a lot of knowledge, and you got to get licensed and all this other stuff. So it's not worth it for 50 customers. I mean, 50 customers is like 2 to 3 days worth of work, and you're only, like I'm doing 7 applications per year. So it'd be like me literally working 3 days and then taking 6 weeks off, and then working 3 more days and taking 6 weeks off. So I don't think it's worth doing unless you're gonna, people will say like I'm mowing lawns and I just want to do the weed control on a handful of my mowing customers. I always try to talk them out of it. I'm like, well, don't even bother, because you're not going to make enough money to waste your time. I'll just sub it out. But so again, you got to have a lot of customers. I mean, probably depending on how many applications you're doing, I mean, probably at least like 300 to fill up your schedule. But when you get your schedule full, like I said, it is more profitable. So again, some people is challenges you're asking about. I mean, we've had rising costs in our energy. Fertilizers just skyrocketed, unfortunately. Probably went up 30% in the past 2 years, and the projections are that it's going to be crazy high this following year. So much so that I went ahead and bought all my fertilizer for 2022, and it already got it delivered, just because I don't think it's going on sale next spring based on the projections I'm hearing. So you got things like that to deal with. But I think one of the biggest challenges is just the knowledge that it takes. Like people are concerned like, oh, I'm going to go out there and turn somebody's yard brown and stuff like that. I mean, that's not necessarily it, in my opinion. Like that's not a huge concern. But the bigger concern is I've got a lot of good competitors that are been doing this a long time, and if I can't get rid of the weeds or make the yard green, then at the end of the day, people want really good results. I've found that out even more than price. I've found that if I can deliver outstanding results, they're not worried about a few bucks more on the price. So the biggest challenge I think people are going to find is, how do I get over that learning curve? Because you just think, well, I'm going to spray this yard, but what am I supposed to spray and when to spray? And there's so many weeds and so many challenges. I mean, that literally takes years to get it. I give the illustration. To me, it's like learning a foreign language. You just have to immerse yourself in it, and eventually it'll start making sense to you. But initially, you just need somebody to tell you what to do. Like, hey, put this in the tank and go spray it this time of year. And you just do what they say. But over time, you'll start to understand why you're doing that and when to do it, and it all start to make sense to you.
Absolutely. So, if you're getting into the chemical side of the business, obviously, like you said, making sure that you are licensed, right, through the Department of Agriculture, just checking that out through your state. And also, just like you said, you need a lot more customers. The ratio that I typically use, and this is going to be a little bit different from, one geographical area to another. But what I expect from, the amount of money that I'm going to bring in from a mowing customer compared to a chemical customer is, to me, it's around a 3-to-1 ratio, right? And I'm just throwing that out there. So if you're making about $1,500, let's say, a year, and again, it's going to depend on the size and everything, but in general, if you're going to make about $1,500 a year on a mowing customer, including some of the other stuff, and this is average across the board, you're going to probably make around $500 for the chemical side. And again, you can shift these numbers back and forth, but the thing that I'm focusing in right now is the ratio, the 3-to-1. And the reason I'm focusing in on that is that kind of tells me how many customers I need in order to replace my mowing business. So if I have if I've got a certain number of mowing customers, if I've got 50 mowing customers, I probably need about 150 chemical customers in order to just kind of replace that income. Now, again, you alluded to the fact that the margins are a little bit better, which that's great. That's what we want. So I just want the listeners to kind of know that you need a lot more customers, right? Whenever you're doing the chemical side of the business.
Yeah, and I would agree with your 3-to-1 assessment there. That's probably pretty close. Again, there would be some factors in that, but and I think it's worth mentioning too that you can do both. I mean, you can be a weed control and fertilization guy and a mowing guy. It's hard to do that solo. I did that for a little while, and the way I tried to do it was I would have like Monday, Tuesday would be my mowing days, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday would be the weed control day. The challenge I had with that was I'd be out there mowing lawns and had a trailer and mowers on it, and somebody calls me for a quote for weed control, and I was really trying to grow that, and so I got to stop mowing and go give them a quote on the spot because I didn't want to. If you wait 2 or 3 days, you done missed the job, so I'd pack up and drive the trailer to go look at this yard, and it was just to me, people usually want somebody that's one or the other. So to me, if you want to do both, I think it's fine. I think you can even do both solo for a short term. But if I was trying to do both, I would try to quickly as possible get a designated truck for each of those. I'd have my designated spray truck and employee that does that, or you do that, and then I'd have the mowing truck, and I'd keep them separate. And I don't see anything in the world wrong with that. I've even thought about doing that, but I just don't want to right now, but I think that can work also.
I think, man, Jason, that is such great advice, especially the part where, keeping them separate. I couldn't agree with you more. That's such great advice. And going back, you transitioned into it. So there's nothing wrong with other people that are just starting out or getting into the business, transitioning into stuff, right? And, finding out what their passion is. Maybe they just love doing the mowing aspect of the business. Maybe they love doing tree work. Finding what really makes it click for you. And if it is the chemical side, or you've dabbled in the mowing and now you're into the chemical, and you say, man, I really love the mowing, but that's not really paying the bills. I've got 50 customers on the chemical side, and I've got 100 customers on the mowing side. I'll just transition, right? Eventually, one will take over the other. As I add on more fertilization weed control customers, I can slowly start selling off some of these, mowing customers, or I can stop taking on mowing customers. Or maybe you decide to do both, right? Just like you said, there's no, magic formula. It's really finding out what you're passionate about and what works for you. And, I go back to niching down, right? Eventually, right? And even if you do, and I've mentioned this before, even if you do want to be the Amazon or the Walmart or of lawn care, realize that, they have departments, right? Just like you said, separating them. So maybe eventually you have 5 trucks on the chemical side and you got 10 trucks on the mowing side. Those are departments, right? And you have department heads. And, that's how you can make things work. But again, going back as a solo operator, nothing wrong with just transitioning, just like the way you've done it. I think it's brilliant. The experience and the knowledge that you bring and sharing with the listeners is just it's just priceless.
Well, I appreciate that. And I had somebody yesterday ask me about being solo, and I'll say this: if I like I do a lot of stuff on YouTube, and honestly, that's sort of a side gig for me. But if I didn't do that, I might look at growing my lawn business to multiple crews. But I want to spend time, doing online things and videos and YouTube, and so I'm trying to keep myself freed up to do that. So I'm like around 300 customers now with my weed control business. I was up to about 480, and I sold it down to about 250, and then came back to 300. Which is kind of I'm at a really good spot. I'm just trying to get the 300 most profitable customers I can, and leave myself where I have time to grow my online business. And to me, this is the time of year. I sit down and look at my taxes and revenue and what I'm doing online and what I'm doing with Alabama Lawn Pros, and like, is it going better this year than it did last year? I'm not looking for gigantic increases, but I'm saying, am I making more money? And I may have to adjust some things, and for me, fortunately, it has, and I'm real thankful for that. But don't want to just keep doing the same thing and making the same amount of money. I want a pay raise every year, not because I'm necessarily greedy, but life just gets more expensive, and inflation, and everything else. I mean, we need to figure out how to be making more money, whether it's solo or with other people.
Right on, right on. And I want to get into your online presence with Lawn Care Life. But before we do, I want to tackle a few more questions on the fertilization weed control side of the business. So, we talked about the licensing and, the chemicals and so forth. Talk to me a little bit about how you're combating. Well, you've actually kind of told us, you made a really good move by, doing a pre-order for your fertilizer, because, even here, you were saying 30%. Some of the fertilizer, my God, I'm seeing the inventory that's coming in up to 50%. So tell us, if you weren't as proactive as you were by pre-ordering, what are some of the ways that what are some of the creative ways that you would, suggest on combating the price increase going into 2022?
Obviously, going up on your prices with your customers, and I found that overwhelming majority of my customers have understood that. So I did go up on my prices this year, and so that's one thing obviously you can do. But I'm trying to think, other than that, I was talking with a guy yesterday, and we were talking about different fertilizer blends and how you can do things. And I was trying to encourage him to consider this strategy, and something that I do. There are some more expensive fertilizer blends that I use, like a slow release fertilizer, but they last way longer. So I was telling him, I said, like, let's take the fertilizer you're using. Let's say it's $18 a bag for a 50-pound bag, and it lasts for 8 weeks, and then you go back and put some more out 8 weeks later. I said, what if you had a 16-week fertilizer that costs $30 a bag? So now you put it out from a labor standpoint. You're only spreading fertilizer one time. It lasts the same amount of time. And instead of you buying two $18 bags, you're buying one $30 bag and getting the same length of nutrients to the lawn with just a little bit smarter way to think about it. And like I said, you're only spreading that fertilizer once on the lawn instead of twice. And then when you go back for your next, I'm not asking you to cut out applications. He was saying what happens with him is sometimes he spreads the fertilizer and he's got to go back and spray the whole yard. And so we're saying spread the fertilizer one time, and then the rest of the time you can focus on the weed control, or maybe spread fertilizer twice instead of, some of my competitors are doing it 4 and 5 times. So for me, it just made sense to pay a little bit more per bag, but it lasts longer, and you're ultimately could be coming out cheaper for your overall fertilizer bill, and then also saving you time on your labor, because now you can focus on weeds moving forward instead of having to spread fertilizer and still go back and spray the weeds.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion, and yeah, slow release for sure over straight urea. They have their own applications, right? But your strategy, I love it. That's a really good way to combat that, and a better way is what you did, right? You were very proactive, and that's I think that's going to be a huge savings for you going into next year. I do personally see a price correction at some point, but I couldn't tell you whether it's going to be June of 2022 or June of 2023. So, but definitely the prices aren't coming down to where they were. And that's one of the things we have to combat, being in the fertilization weed control side of the business.
Yeah, and I think again the small yards, to me, like if I'm doing a small yard and I'm charging $15 per 1,000 square feet. So let's say, and it may be more than that. I mean, on some of the real small ones are, anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 for yards that are 6,000 square feet and less. Well, as you get up these bigger yards, I may get down to $7 or $8 per 1,000 square feet. Well, the cost of the fertilizer for that lawn is the same. You know what I'm saying? If your fertilizer is $3 per 1,000, it's $3 per 1,000, whether you're charging the customer $8 per 1,000 or $15 per 1,000. So again, a 20% or 30% fertilizer hike on a yard where my margins were really good is not that big a deal. That's why I said this year I'm probably not even going to take on a big yard unless I really charge a high price. And also, and you may think this is silly, but I've sort of, how people when they get older, they say, wish they had built a one-level house. They're like, I want a one-level house. I'm tired of walking upstairs. And I thought, you know what? I'm about to age-proof my lawn business. I'm going for small, flat yards, because even now at my age, and I'm not that old, but I don't big yards up on top of a hill. They're just not as much fun as they used to be for me. So anyway, I'm kind of, for more reasons than just money, I'm shifting to small, flat yards.
Well, I'm in the same boat, and I agree with you 100%. I love the small lawns. I'm not a big fan, never have been, of the big lawns, whether it came to mowing or fertilization, weed control, because the simple fact, the margins are just not there for me. Now, they might, somebody might be thrilled with those, and they can have them. So that makes everybody happy, right?
Obviously, I know there's people that's making that work. I never could make it work. I had big yards. I had big yards spraying, big yards mowing, and at the end of the day, I found myself regretting the big yards almost always more than the small ones. The small yards, and I personally don't understand people saying I'm going to have like a $50 minimum charge. I'm like, I'll take $35 yards that are 2,000 square feet all day long if I can get a bunch of them. So I mean, literally, I could spray a yard in 3 minutes. And I was like 3 minutes and about 50 cents worth of chemical, and they paid me $35. And if I can go down the one street and just do yard after yard like that, I'm like, this is unbelievable. I mean, I just think this is the greatest job, So where if I'm out there on a big yard and you're dragging a hose on it and spraying all, it's just, I'm sitting there questioning, what am I doing with my life, kind of thing.
I tell you what, Jason, when it comes to fertilization weed control, there's only one thing I hate about it, and that's I didn't do it 20 years ago. That's the only thing I hate about the fertilization weed control aspect of the business. And I don't know, you might have that same feeling. What if you were 20 years or 30 years into it and you were doing just that, right?
Well, I think I'm amazed at how fast people do grow these bits. There's a competitor I have right down the road. I think they've been in business I don't know, 10 to 15 years. And I mean, they have several thousand customers and just grow, so the opportunities there, it's, you can grow and you can grow a mowing business too. I'm not saying if I was to get back in mowing, to be honest with you, I think I would, and now this is us living in the South. I would probably focus on year-round customers that were weekly and try to just go high end. And I would, even now, if I was going to do both, I think I would go 12-month year-round payments with these people, and I'd be like their one-stop shop doing the weed control and mowing and everything. I'd be spraying growth regulator on their yard and mowing it once a week and just trying to make, target people who really wanted it nice. But the problem with that is you got to be in an area where there's a demand for that. Not everybody's wanting to pay $400 or $500 a month to have everything done on their lawn.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get into your online presence, Lawn Care Life. Nothing short of just totally impressive. I mean, I came across, and I'm not a big YouTuber, but when I came across your YouTube channel, and I hope everybody that's listening, go check out Lawn Care Life, Jason Creel. 91 or 92,000 followers. Nothing, just so impressive. Tell me a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, that in YouTube is about more competitive than the lawn business nowadays. I think that's one of the advantages I had on that. I was one of the early ones on there as far as lawn care goes. Some of them have started a lot later, but are more skilled at it in some ways, and so they have grown much faster. But for me, I started, actually, a friend of mine was in the real estate business, and I've been on YouTube for about 10 years now, and he told me, he said, listen, I'm getting all my real estate leads from the internet, or just about all of them, and we were talking about search engine optimization, all this stuff. And he said, y'all just start making videos. So the idea was that I was going to help my local lawn business rank well on Google by doing videos and it all being kind of connected on there. And I had no intentions of making money on YouTube necessarily. At least I don't think I did looking back. But after doing it a while, and I honestly don't remember, like, was there a point where it sort of took off a little bit or whatever, but it was years and years into it before I even knew that there was such thing as monetizing your videos, and that there was just a button you had to click to turn the money on. And so I figured out that was, something you could do about 5 years ago or something. So I clicked that button, and I was getting like $2 a day or something. I mean, it was pitiful. So, but several years ago, I kind of began to see the potential, and I almost quit YouTube. I couldn't tell you how many times, but I started seeing the potential in it, and I got some training and really started to take it more serious. And I'm still a lot to learn on that, but and then I'll say maybe 2 or 3 years ago, there's got to be so much competition on the mowing side of YouTube, and I was sort of transitioning my own business into weed control and fertilization. So I thought, well, I'm going to start talking about that a lot more. And so I'm not going to say I'm the only one, but I'm one of few maybe that talks about weed control and fertilization from a business standpoint on YouTube. There's a lot of like the homeowner guys that are talking about weed control and fertilization. That's great. And then there's a lot of guys talking about mowing, and that's great. And I talk about mowing too, and I talk about stuff that appeals to homeowners. But I'm probably one of a few that spends a decent amount of time talking about how to grow a weed control and fertilization business. And part of the strategy was one, that I could just be a little bit different and have a niche in that. And then two, when it comes to like sponsorships and things on YouTube, I wanted to put myself in a different category where I might be more appealing for certain sponsors to consider sponsoring my channel, because I'm the only one in that niche.
That's awesome. So tell me about the times, that you mentioned, on the YouTube you were thinking about quitting. What what made you, push through that? Because I know from experience, I just started YouTube like, I don't know, like 10 months ago or so. And I can tell you, it's very challenging, and I'm learning a lot. I'm not the best at it for by no means. I'm just trying to work through it and stuff. And like you said, you get those moments of doubt, just like with any business, right? Even with mowing or whatever business you're in, you get those moments of doubt, and but you push through it, right? I mean, tell me what made you push through it, or what were some of the times that you doubted yourself when it came to YouTube?
Well, I think, and YouTube to me is still very mysterious. I've been doing YouTube for a long time, but I still don't understand a lot about it. So there would be years where it seemed like I wouldn't have much growth, and then I'd have a year where it did great, and I'm thinking, oh, this it's going to take off, and then the next year it wouldn't do great, and I'm like, what in the world's going on with this YouTube stuff? So you get frustrated with that. I think. For me, it wasn't so much that I didn't like YouTube. It was just I was so hectic with my business, and like I said, that was part of me selling off some of my customers. It's just hard to do both. People don't, I don't think, understand how much time goes into some of that, and I don't put as much time in as others. But to do the videos, and there's a lot of effort goes into it. Well, if I'm working 50 or 60 hours a week with my lawn business, and then you come home and you try to do a video, and so anyway, I've got it down now where I'm pretty much working normal days with my lawn business, and that gives me time to do YouTube. So I don't think it was necessarily anything YouTube specific. It was just stress on my whole life, and I think that's worth mentioning. Even in lawn business, I've had to kind of, as I got, like I said, I've got 4 kids, and they're the age where dad needs to be around a lot. And I said, I don't want to be just the ultimate lawn care king, locally or on YouTube, and to the neglect of my family and stuff. So a lot of my decisions have had to be like, how will this allow me to be successful in other areas of life, and not just, you hear the people like the pro athlete or something who basically gave everything they had to something, but the rest of their life was in shambles. I really don't want to be that person.
Well, it sounds like you've really found great balance, so that's worth so much more than any any amount of money. So I think that's awesome. Great tips on the YouTube. Just like it's a roller coaster ride, right? I mean, just like with any other business, and that really helps me out as well. Hearing that because doing YouTube and for the last, I don't know, 10 months, I think it is. I don't have very many followers, so I imagine it's just grinding through and continuing to do what I do, what I'm passionate about, helping other people, and just seeing it through, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's some things you can, collaborating with other people is great if you can get exposure on there to their audience. So those things are great. If you do eventually find a video, for whatever reason, YouTube might pick your channel, and if you do a video on a certain topic, it gets tons of views. For whatever reason, YouTube decided your channel should be great for that topic. And so sometimes if you figure out what that topic is that YouTube thinks you're great at, you should make more videos on that topic, to get your audience established, because once you get an audience, obviously everything becomes easier. So it just takes a while, but it is a lot of, like the lawn business, just consistency is very important.
That's great advice. I really appreciate that. And before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask you a couple things. Hobbies.
Well, I like to fish. I play golf occasionally. I mean, I like sports in general. Whether watch, I'm actually a big baseball fan. I watch a lot of baseball. And of course, in the South, we're big into football, college football, and that sort of thing. So, you know, we like sports, but if I get time, a day off, I like to go fishing or play golf.
That's very cool. And you said you guys actually like football down there?
Yeah, that's about all anybody does like. To be honest with you, that's what one of my friends, he said it's a phenomenon happens every fall in Alabama. When he's talking about from weed control, he's like, you quit getting complaints about their lawns because nobody cares about their lawn anymore because it's football season. You know, so I was like, yep, about every September or so, the phone quits ringing and everybody's could care less about their yard. It's just wanting to go to the football game.
Did you catch the Alabama Georgia game or?
Uh, well, believe it or not, again, this is where I had to make a sacrifice. My daughter had a gymnastics meet in Tuscaloosa, of all places. And so we, in Tuscaloosa, of course, the game was in Atlanta, and I'm sitting there with about all the rest of the men on my phone trying to follow the game and trying to watch my daughter do gymnastics too. So, but, you know, I watched it on replay and was certainly excited that they pulled it off.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a good sacrifice. Your daughter is well worth it. So, again, finding that balance, I love that. Jason, it was a pleasure and honor to interview you. And man, you are just a wealth of information. If you want to tell our audience how they can connect with you, I am more than happy to promote anything that you want to promote. Because, again, I think you're a total asset to the lawn care community.
Yeah, I appreciate that. As far as social media goes, I'm mostly on YouTube. I have Instagram, the Lawn Care Life on Instagram, but my YouTube channel is Lawn Care Life, so you could look me up on that. If people that want like resources and stuff to start a lawn bit or weed control, I have like video courses, Weed Control and Fertilization Academy. I've got documents and pricing and programs and logos and all kind of stuff at lawncarelife.com. So anybody wants some paid training, that is available there.
That's great. I appreciate it again. It was a pleasure and an honor visiting with you, and I hope we can do this again in the future and get some updates as to where your business is going and where I'm going also. Hopefully, maybe I'll get a few more subscribers on YouTube and develop this as I am passionate about, helping other people. Thank you so much, Jason, and I will be talking to you soon.
I really appreciate it, Frank. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.
I hope this information was helpful to you. Make sure to subscribe, like, and hit the bell button so you're notified of my future videos. See you next time, Lawn Care Pros.